have a little bit of time this morning to show you how I do my eyebrows, and I thought I would share with you some of the really important tips that I feel like really helped me take my brow game to the next level. I don't want to share too much because I don't want it to be overwhelming, and I want it to be easy to remember when you go to do your eyebrows. It's just like a few things really that I feel like made such a huge difference in making my eyebrows so much easier to do, making them look nice. And I get asked this all the time, how to do brows by people who never do their brows. So if you are someone who's been wanting to try it out but has been feeling like you don't know where to start, I hope this video helps you. As some of you know, I have been using a brow wax by Anastasia, the brow gel. I don't think this is a requirement, but I do think that brushing your brows before doing any sort of coloring on them is really important. I think it really helps you, whether your brows are waxed or not, it just helps you be able to really see the outline of your brow. I have heard many times it's recommended that you brush kind of upwards, and I think that this is nice because what it's doing is it's really giving you a line at the bottom, and you really want that is kind of what's most key here at first, is really being able to see a kind of clear shape on the bottom of your brow, because that's going to come in handy later. So part of what you're doing when you're kind of brushing them up out of the way is, or when you're brushing them up, is getting them out of the way. So that's why you're doing that in that direction. It's also just kind of the natural direction growth of your hair. The gel just helps stick some down that wouldn't help, or that wouldn't stick down otherwise, or just doing it right out of the shower right after moisturizing your face is good too. The next hardest thing besides applying your eyebrows is knowing the right color. And I would say personally always go by the root of your hair. It doesn't matter, that way it doesn't matter what color your hair is dyed, because some root is usually showing, especially nowadays. So just going by the root color of your hair can really help. So since I naturally have ashy hair, I'm always going to use an ashier toned color. So I always opt for a taupe, T-A-U-P-E, I think that's how you pronounce it, but that's an ashier color. And if you go to a beauty store, they can actually totally help you find the right color, and you don't charge you or anything for it, and it can be really helpful. Whether to use pencil or to use the brow pomade, I definitely think this is harder to work with. So if you're a beginner, I don't really recommend starting with this, because it's just really easy to put it on super dark, because it is kind of just a little bit of a different texture to work with. And if you're just learning, it's definitely easier to start with the pencil. I do find that the pencil for me personally rubs off really easily, and you can see having blonde ass eyebrows like mine, that's not good. We don't want anything rubbing off, because then it's really obvious. So that's why I later learned how to use this. But if you're just learning, just start with the pencil. It's so easy to work with, and or a powder too. But I personally don't think powders look very natural, because they just usually build up more, they're just more likely to build up a cake. But start with the powder, whatever is comfortable, really. Okay, so a really big thing that helped me was knowing where I wanted there to be color. Where do I want it to be dark, and where do I want it to be light? And I feel in general, this has always helped me whenever I am doing any sort of makeup, just even with eyeshadows and lipsticks and blush, just knowing where you want it to be heavier, or where it's okay for it to be heavier, and then knowing where it's where you want it to be lighter and kind of thin out. I don't know, that's just has always been really helpful for me. So when it comes to doing your brows, you want, for the most part, most of your color to be in this shaping. You want most of your color here at the end too. So you want most of it on the bottom, but you also want most of it at the end. You kind of I personally the kind of brow that I like is when they do the a gradient. When they do a gradient and it goes kind of lighter to darker, that's what I like. And then you kind of want the same thing, a gradient from lighter to darker here too, but kind of starting more over here. So this side of my brow, for the most part, I'm gonna make just as dark. So I like to start here, and then I'm just trying to like draw every blade of hair personally so that I don't do too much. Like there's a blade of hair, I hope you guys can see, right here. And then there's one right here. And I'm just like following along with it. And it's okay if it's like dark and there's kind of a lot because we're gonna brush through it and blend it. And then there's one right there. And you can tell like how I'm holding this curve. I'm like holding it to the shape of my brow. Do you see that? And then again, I'm like, so here I went until I got to like my point. I did it kind of the same. And then now that I'm like at my, the place where I want it to arch, I'm gonna start just focusing on the bottom again, because that's where I want most of my color to be. And this is where I want my shape to be. This is really what's gonna shape your eye, is having a solid line here at the bottom. And then from here, because again, you want this to be the lightest part of the eyebrow, we're gonna start shading up from here, because this is where we want it to be we want this to be darkest, this to be darkest, and this to be like third darkest. That's kind of what how I've kind of come to think about it. So we're now blending from this. We laid a nice foundation of color here, and now we're just blending. And now that I've blended up to my arch, now I'm gonna start blending in towards the center. And again, now we're not really applying I haven't grabbed any new product. I'm just using the same product. And again, I'm focusing, I'm staying on this bottom line. The bottom line is where we want the most color. So that's always where we're gonna start and blend from, right? So, all right, and again, I still haven't grabbed any new product. And I guess most of this tutorial is most helpful if you are using a pomade, but I do think this is also helpful if you're using a pencil too, just in terms, again, thinking about like where we want our color to be most. So when it comes to where to start your eyebrow, I really think you should just go with your natural brow. If your natural brow comes in a little further, just do that a little further. Like, let it be. Love your fucking life. Love your face. So, but I do like the idea of starting at my nostril and coming up and then doing it right there. And because there's still a little bit of product, it's gonna give me a small line. Not a very big line. I don't want a big line, which is why I like that there's not a lot of product on here. I like that there's not a lot of product on here still, because when it comes to doing this, I'm just going to be blending. And again, I'm going to start on the bottom and I'm going to blend up. And because like we want hair, we want, I like to try to create like a fleck effect. We are going to be blending. So like on some level, oops, I didn't mean to do that. It starts to not matter as much, but I just like to try to create that look. And then here, I'm just kind of, and then when it comes to doing like this line here and creating this, I really just try to imagine like I really try to get this top corner first, I guess, done. And then I really try to just connect this corner to that arch. And both these eyebrows are different, so we try not to fret about making them perfect. And then as you can see, this looks a little bunchy, so we're gonna blend. So I'm gonna start here where I started before, because this definitely needs the most blending. And we're going to brush the same way that we did in the beginning. We're gonna brush up. also just want to add that like you do like in your eyebrows, just remember like they're not gonna be perfect. They're never going to be exactly like each other. So just you have to get to a point when you're doing them when you just have to be like, okay, like let it go. These are the eyebrows today. And that's okay. And they kind of do differ from day to day too. Sometimes you're going to have better brow days, you know, and then others, especially when it comes to having time or if they were just washed or things like that. Because like looking in the mirror or looking in the camera now, they look fine. They look great. But like when I look at them, like, you know, I can see all those little things. So just like a reminder to, you know, take it easy and just do them to the best of your ability and just know that you're beautiful and loved no matter what. Okay, I personally always do my brows first because I feel like they are the most important thing. I feel like if I get on some brows and a lip, used to before masks, then I would feel so complete. And then if I could get on some mascara and blush and a highlighter, even better. But if you're someone who does wear foundation, I would recommend putting on your foundation first. That way, if you do get any on your eyebrows, obviously you can just put the eyebrow set on top because I don't have a lot of time. I'm running fast, and I think that if you spend that tiny bit of extra money and extra time getting them waxed, it's seriously like $15 a lot of places, you guys. It's really not a big investment, but it can make such a big difference for your face framing and for your confidence and for your morning routine. And if you have darker eyebrows, just getting them waxed can make you and look so much more put together and help you feel so much more put together too, just because again of that framing that it really creates. So I love brow waxing, and I also love people wearing their natural brow shape. Again, I don't think it's about changing who you are. I think it's about just giving this beautiful painting a nice frame. So I hope these tricks helped, and I hope that you get the courage to try it out if you've never done your brows before. And I really hope that you afterwards see yourself in a new light and maybe see a new beautiful side of yourself that you never saw before. So yeah, I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I'm going to try to make more of these makeup videos. So if you guys have any special requests of makeup tips that you want to see, let me know.